Hi guys, Ian here from Dark Zero, and after having my OUYA for a few weeks now, I'm going to list my top 10 OUYA games, or must-play games for OUYA owners if you will. This list is in no particular order, so I'm going to list them alphabetically instead. And whilst some games are definitely better than others, I'd recommend you check them all out at some point. Another thing to mention is that games like Final Fantasy III and The Ball will not be included in this list, due to them already being popular and everybody already being aware of how good they are. I would like to start by awarding an honourable mention to the game Dub Wars, which is still early in development and currently has a Kickstart page should you find it interesting. But due to it still being incomplete and only being available in sort of a beta format, it didn't quite make the cut. So without further ado, here's the final list. So first things first, Dub Wars. As I've just said, this is more of an honourable mention than an actual position in the top 10, but I just had to say something about this game because of its clever mechanics and unique twist of mixing twin-stick shooters with rhythm games. In Dub Wars, you take control of what seems to be a spacecraft inside of a computer chip, and all you can do is move using the left stick and direct yourself using the right, which would usually fire out a stream of bullets in an ordinary twin-stick shooter such as Geometry Wars. A slow beat will begin to play, and with each alternate beat your ship fires off a single round and sends out a shockwave to the left and right, forcing you to listen carefully and predict the music to effectively destroy enemies. As the tempo increases, enemies spawn faster, and in turn you begin to shoot faster, until you're almost overrun, when all of a sudden the beat drops and boom! Your ship fires out a giant laser cannon of death that kills everything in its path. As you continue throughout the stage, the music shifts and so do your powers, which can range from a spiralling damaging area of effect to a green shockwave that pulls in collectibles towards you, although their use is completely out of your control and is entirely determined by the music. The game also looks great and continues the tradition of these types of twin-stick shooters using lots of bright lights and flashy colours. Throughout the demo track there are parts that are fast-paced, parts that slow down and have you avoid enemies altogether, and parts that will get you so hyped you won't want to stop. But eventually, the music calms down and ends altogether, giving you a few moments break before starting up again. As it's a high score game, this will continue until you die, although I do think I would have preferred to have simply completed the stage and gone through increasingly difficult levels in order to progress. In any case, Dub Wars is a pretty cool experiment in the use of music in games, and I hope to see it reach its full potential with the help of its already successful Kickstart project. With the promise of boss battles, more levels, more modes, upgradable powers and achievements, Dub Wars could be something special and is a project I'll definitely be keeping my eye on. Number 1 is Bomb Squad. Bomb Squad is a 3D arena battle game that was originally exclusive to Macs, where I first got to play it, so it's great to see such a fun game jump to another platform and get the attention it deserves. Basically you can run, jump, albeit barely, punch and create bombs in the Bomberman sense. There's a ton of power-ups that give you the ability to use different types of bombs, and the ragdoll physics are hilarious, especially when you have to take a run up in order to throw a bomb further or increase the damage of your punches. There's a number of challenges to overcome either on your own or with up to 3 other friends in the cooperative mode, and with each challenge comes a set of in-level achievements to aim for too, such as win without using any bombs or throw a certain amount of enemies off the map. There's 2 different competitive modes, one that allows up to 4 players and gives the teams a set of goals, such as battling out a giant game of hockey or even racing, and the second competitive mode is simply a free-for-all that allows up to 8 players. Although, this 8-player limit was created in case more than 8 players on screen at once couldn't be handled and can be removed, effectively allowing a much larger amount of players to battle it out all at once. This is made even easier by the fact that Android and iOS devices can be used as controllers by downloading the Bomb Squad remote app. The art style is quirky and the levels were actually handmade in real life and then put into the game. The music is just William Tell Overture, but it suits the game perfectly and keeps up the excitement. It's a fun experience alone, but grab a couple of friends and you'll be playing for hours on end. This is an absolute blast. No pun intended. Number 2. Chrono Blade. Chrono Blade is a 3D action wave brawler that interestingly started out as a Facebook game and is still in development. With future plans for a bunch of unique characters each with their own skill sets and traits, a vast upgrade system for open-ended character progression, and PvP modes, Chrono Blade is well on its way to becoming a great title. But going on just what we've got to play right now, the game is a lot of fun and the simple combo mechanics, character-specific magics, and randomly dropped items make way for a surprisingly strategic set of battle tactics. Currently there are only 2 characters to choose from. One is a smaller, faster character with swifter but less damaging attacks, and one is a brute smasher, with much higher damage output and slower movement. It can be played either alone or with a second person, and starts you off in a room full of chests to open, supplying you with your starting items. 4 items can be equipped at once, assigning themselves to a direction on your D-pad, and your 4 magics are already assigned to the 4 shoulder buttons. Once you've loaded up on your loot, you can enter the arena and begin fighting wave after wave of increasingly strong enemies. You have a light attack, a heavy attack, a block, and your 4 magics, allowing you to mix and match your own combos by chaining different attacks together, and becoming a master of blocking and countering is a must, should you wish to survive more than just a few waves. The only problem I encountered was the lack of information on the items and magics you have, forcing you to play completely confused several times in order to learn what does what yourself. The graphics are stylish, reminding me a little of League of Legends, and being completely free to play is definitely a bonus. Although, I do wish there was a side-scrolling story mode too. Overall, a good game that could really go somewhere if the developers keep pushing forward with all of their incredible plans. Number 3. Deep Dungeons of Doom. Deep Dungeons of Doom is a port of another mobile game from the same team that brought you Surgeon Simulator 2013, but one that I had never heard of before until I downloaded it to my OUYA. It looks great on the big screen due to its easily upscaled 8-bit-ish design, but this game really grabbed my attention because of its unique gameplay. After assuming it was some kind of side-scroller, I discovered that Deep Dungeons of Doom is actually a time-based RPG. I would mention that the game is rogue style, but that is only half true, as only each dungeon is rogue, as well as the stat boost you may receive in the dungeon, but the metagame is not, so you will keep any skills that you purchase on the altar skill tree. You can also progress to bigger, more difficult dungeons by completing previous ones. To fight, you must wait until your attack bar is replenished, and can then strike, being wary not to waste an attack on an enemy during their defend animation, which negates all damage. Likewise, you must defend against enemy attacks by recognising the beginning of their attack animation and swiftly responding with a block. You only ever fight one-on-one with another enemy or boss, so battles are all about your quick reflexes and strategic attack patterns, and you will quickly perish if you don't play by the rules. You can level up and assign dungeon temporary stat boosts to your hero. You can also equip one item and one potion at a time, which you will find in chests strewn about each dungeon. These items can be used across different dungeons, but you must be smart in what items you will trade out, making sure to always have the best 2 items for your character equipped, which will vary from class to class. Starting as the default Crusader class, you can choose to either switch to a Witch or a Mercenary once they have been unlocked, and due to their unique skill sets, this will change everything about how you play the game. Deep Dungeons of Doom offers hours of playtime, unique gameplay elements that must be mastered in order to survive, and character-specific skill sets and upgrades. It's also visually and audibly classic, mixing nostalgia with a completely new experience. Number 4. Hidden in Plain Sight. Hidden in Plain Sight is a unique multiplayer-only game that was originally created for the Xbox Live Arcade and may not have received the full attention it deserves. The whole experience is kind of a backwards Turing test, if you will, where the goal is to figure out which of the many on-screen characters are other players, picking them out from the rest of the AI-controlled bots. The game allows up to 4 players and has a total of 5 minigames, each with a different set of goals to accomplish in order to win, but in attempting to do so, you may just give yourself away to the other players, who can then eliminate you. For example, in Ninja Party, you win by being either the last person standing or by touching all of the 5 statues placed around the room. But every time a statue is touched by a player, a sound is played, forcing you to play cleverly and move like the AI bots, perhaps even only ever touching a statue at the same time as one of the bots to confuse the other players. If you do figure out who another player is, you can make your way to them and punch them out, but you can't follow them directly in fear of being spotted, so you must be sneaky in how you get around, cutting them off and swiftly taking them down. Every move you make must be considered greatly, and it's strange to see just how easy it is to spot another player. The other mini-games include having to collect a room full of coins whilst other players are looking to snipe you dead, trying to assassinate a king by getting around his protective knights, and the simple race that you must walk in order to stay hidden. It's a great party game and is based on an amazing concept that shows just how predictable we really are. Number 5. Knightmare Tower. Originally an online flash game, Knightmare Tower is a 2D vertical endless runner, although I am pretty sure there is a limit on how far you can get. In his mission to save all of the captured princesses from a tower full of monsters, our hero has the brilliant idea of rocketing himself upwards to save time. Once the rocket runs out of fuel and drops, you must continue to accelerate upwards by dashing downwards onto enemies and slicing them in half, being careful not to miss and falling to the rising magma, or be hit by an enemy's spikes or projectiles. Every monster destroyed will also help in filling up your combo meter that gives you a great speed boost once full. The princesses are scattered at different heights throughout the tower, and with each one saved, a new item is unlocked that will randomly spawn from slain enemies. These items can either be gold, health items, items to damage enemies, or horns to call upon huge boss-like creatures that you can get a number of good hits on, allowing you to take a short break from the mayhem. After your inevitable demise, you can shop for upgraded skills, such as more speed from each monster killed, less speed lost from falling, or by pimping out your hero's armor and sword, giving him higher attack damage and more health. With each new upgrade you can get higher and higher until you've saved every princess and hit a dead end that can only be unlocked by completing all of your side quests. The side quests remind me a lot of Jetpack Joyride's missions, in that you are given 3 to complete at a time, and they become increasingly difficult as you accomplish each one. They range from killing X amount of monsters to collecting X amount of items in a single launch and more. Knightmare Tower is an extremely addictive and fun game that coaxes you to continue playing with the perfect progression of upgrades and fun quests to play for, and is easily one of my personal favourites on the OUYA. After already saving most of the princesses before I even purchased the game, I thought I would be let down by the fact that I was paying for just a little bit more gameplay, but without spoiling anything, there is much more still to do. Number 6. The Little Crane That Could. The Little Crane That Could is simply a crane simulator, but don't be put off just yet. It's actually a lot of fun. With simple cel-shaded graphics and fun objectives, it is one of the best games on the OUYA right now, and even though it's not an exclusive, being available on iOS and Android devices, using a controller is definitely what this game needs. The controls are quite deep, and the many challenges get pretty difficult fast, seriously testing your driving and crane controlling skills, which you must become proficient with before you can get anywhere. The demo allows for 6 challenging levels to be completed before requiring you to pay to unlock the other 19, which is well worth it if you enjoy the demo. There's also a small sandbox mode that you can use to practice that is available as part of the demo and is extremely useful in preparing for a stage. The challenges include using a sky crane to haul a power mast, building a ramp for a stunt driver, deconstructing, moving and then reconstructing a whole house, and building a bridge. Be warned, they are not easy, but they are fun. I think a lot of why this game is fun is simply down to fighting the controls. Not because they are bad, but because there is so much to remember. You can extend or shorten the crane, open and close the claw or other attachment, move the crane around 360 degrees or bend it in order to reach down and pick something up, and more. It may not seem like a lot, but almost every button on the controller does something, which is why it is fun to complete even simple tasks. This is not for everyone, but I'd recommend you take it for a spin. Number 7. No Brakes Valet. No Brakes Valet is an incredibly simple 2D game that is all about parking cars. This OUYA exclusive is hilarious and should not be judged before being played. With a single bird's eye view of a car park, cars will intermittently enter from the top or bottom, and as the player you must do the best you can to park them, given only the controls to turn left or right and brake. Although, every so often you will be thrown a no brakes alert and are forced to crash to a stop, still doing the best you can to park the car and not smash any of your previous attempts out of the way. Once the car park reaches maximum capacity, each correctly parked car will be scored, rewarding you with more points depending on how aligned they are. There are also several types of vehicles, such as the school bus that can knock other cars flying out of the way, VIP cars that must be parked in their assigned spot, and chicken trucks that randomly release a bunch of useless chickens across the car park. The single player is fun for a while, but it's the multiplayer mode where this game shines. Now the car park has entrances on both sides, with the players controlling the cars that appear on their respective sides. You can each try to do the best you can, but more than likely it'll turn into a huge pile-up as you attempt to destroy each other's well-parked vehicles. I must stress just how simplistic this game is. That is the whole goal, trying to outpark your friend or beat your own high score. That being said, it's a free game and is one of the funniest titles on the OUYA. I would highly recommend you check this out with a friend. Number 8. Polarity. The instant anybody looks at Polarity they think Portal, and it's easy to see why. This OUYA exclusive 3D platforming puzzle game has the same plain, stylish look of the testing chambers, the same simple first person controls of movement, jumping, picking up and throwing objects, and even the use of cubes. Although, this is no rip-off, and the main mechanics of Polarity are actually more like that of Outland, where the player switches their polarity between red and blue, allowing them to differently interact with objects depending on their current state. In Polarity, you play the role of a hacker that must infiltrate a virtual vault system in order to steal data fragments. Seemingly a metaphor for the vault's secure computer protection, there are a number of puzzles to overcome to find all of the required fragments. Using the red and blue cubes to power things, such as bounce pads and doors, the player must also switch between red and blue polarity to be able to pass through or walk across coloured fields. My personal favourite mechanic is the yellow fields that will switch the colour of the cubes that pass through them, adding a whole new layer of functionality. Each stage also contains the 3 hidden data fragments that must be recovered in order to reach the final level. They do start off rather easy to find, but soon begin to require the use of increasingly clever mechanics. The controls are fluid and intuitive, and the later levels do require some brilliant puzzle solving, rivaling some of the most famous Portal chambers. Unfortunately, the game only has 11 levels right now, which doesn't last too long, but the developers do promise much more to come. Nevertheless, I had a lot of fun playing through it, and hope to see much more in future updates. Number 9 is Stalagflight. Stalagflight is a 2D vertical endless runner that was developed originally as a prototype in just 48 hours for the Nordic Game Jam, where it won second place for the most fun game. Once the OUYA Game Development Competition was announced, the team began further developing the game and ended up placing in the 4 Bright Buttons and 2 Joysticks award, which was awarded to the games with the best controls. As an astronaut-looking character, you must escape from the pits of an erupting volcano, being careful not to plummet to your death, or be consumed by the fast-approaching magma. Using what I presume are rocket boots, you can boost into the air and attach to the bits of broken rock that are falling into the volcano, which you can then in turn boost from again to reach even higher by destroying the rock. You can direct your character in flight and can spin the boulder to direct your jump, which is a simple control scheme that allows for a lot of manoeuvrability. You can also increase your boost jump distance by first spinning the boulder to gain momentum before leaping ahead. The goal is to simply reach as far as you can, and there's no power-ups or side objectives, just the colourful graphics and an awesome remix of the SNES's Top Gear soundtrack to keep you going. There's also a multiplayer mode that allows up to 4 players, this time the goal being to try and outrun your friends by getting above and beyond the top of the screen first, killing the players that are at the back. It's a fun game and can get very hectic, especially when several of you all land on the same boulder at once and must race to get the best angle before one of you destroys it. It's an extremely simple game, but the nice controls and charming appeal will keep you coming back to try and try again, even if it's just every so often. And now the game you've all been waiting for. Number 10, Towerfall. Towerfall is being called the OUYA's killer app by many sources, and that statement may not be inaccurate. This unique 4-player arena brawler centres around the use of archery to eliminate other players. With each player only having a limited amount of arrows, used arrows must be recovered from walls or dead players, and the ability to stomp on players' heads, wall jump, and dash to catch arrows out of the air allows for great manoeuvrability and requires you to think strategically, instead of simply spamming shots. With a number of great power-ups and special types of arrows such as laser arrows that bounce off of walls and bramble arrows that create deadly vines at the point of impact, every match plays completely differently. Towerfall's combat was said to be influenced by games like Smash Bros, not in the sense that they play similarly, but instead how the game looks to be all-out chaos when it is in fact extremely deep, allowing anybody to pick up and play, but also making way for high-level tactical matches. With a total of 70 arenas across 7 stages, each with their own unique twist, tons of variants that can be applied such as big head mode or super dodging, and a 21 level training mode that is actually more like a difficult set of challenges that put your accuracy, speed and clever use of arrows to the test, Towerfall is packed with content and is easily worth the $15 price point. The graphics are old school and charming, the music rivals that of the classic RPGs, and the gameplay is simply incredible. As an OUYA exclusive, it is almost worth purchasing an OUYA simply for this game. It's that good. It's also great to see the lead developer being so involved with the community by answering everybody's questions and discussing updates and changes via Twitter. Towerfall is an already brilliant title with the promise of even more to come, and personally, I can't wait to see what this game's future holds. And that concludes our list of top 10 OUYA games. Although this list will no doubt already have been outdated by the time it goes live, just due to the sheer amount of games being released daily to the OUYA, we'll be sure to share any future titles that we believe you guys should know about. Due to when this video was created, newer titles such as Italju, Nimble Quest and Wizorb haven't made the cut, but I personally think they all look great and will no doubt be playing through them next. We hope you enjoyed and stay tuned for more gaming news and reviews at darkzero.co.uk.